Have you been reading the information that's come out in behavioral economics? If you're in the insights business, you really might want to. There's been some landmark discoveries. One thing we've learned is that humans don't make decisions on a 5-point scale. They make choices. Yet we use scales for everything. Likert invented the Likert scale 88 years ago, and we still use it all the time. This isn't your father's scale, this is your grandfather's scale. But we've learned a lot since then. We can do better. Let's briefly look at the problems with these scales. The first problem is perhaps the biggest. Humans don't make decisions on 5-point scales. They make choices. One way of describing how humans make decisions is scaffold theory. This is how it works. Let's say you're at home with your significant other and you ask, well, should we eat in or eat out tonight? Well, let's eat out because I don't feel like making anything. Well, okay, what type of restaurant should we go to? Well, I don't want to eat at a fast food restaurant, but I don't want to pay too much either, so let's go to a fast casual place. Okay, which one? Well, the game's on tonight, so let's go to Buffalo Wild Wings. Isn't that what happens? Notice no scales, just a series of choices. So why don't we follow that same process in our studies? Here's another problem. Scales can be difficult for respondents. This is what one respondent told me when we were talking about these scales. She said, I'm tired, I'm sweating, I just want to be done, I just want my $5. Well, how much consideration will she give your new idea? Our third problem is a big issue, especially when evaluating brands. Most scale-based surveys evaluate brands or options in isolation. Let me illustrate. Answer this question for me. Does Buffalo Wild Wings have higher prices? This is exactly the type of question we might ask on a survey. But how do we answer it? Well, what about compared to Taco Bell? Now, what about compared to your favorite date night restaurant? Now, did your answer change depending on who we compared Buffalo Wild Wings to? If it did, that's a problem. Here's another problem. Different ethnic groups use scales differently. For example, Hispanics are much more likely to give us a higher score on the same scale. And as we're becoming more and more multicultural, this simply becomes a bigger and bigger issue. And finally, what does respondent do if they don't know the answer? Give a 3 on a 5-point scale? A 3 is fundamentally different than a don't know. Yet when capturing diagnostics, we typically ask all sorts of things without giving a I don't know option. And the result is bad data and a loss of predictability. All of these problems, why do we still use these scales? Why do we still structure studies the same way we did in the 1980s? So stay tuned. In future videos, I'll show you some alternatives.